Esta semana, Vice News presenta. Vamos a Pakistán, uno de los países con mayor índice de violencia de género, para conocer el caso de un crimen de honor.
इस बात से उनको गुस्सा है कि ये वीडियो मंदिराम पे आई और लोगों के सामने ना हमारी बेइज्जती हो.
Y después, vamos en busca de las medicinas del futuro en uno de los lugares más inusuales, el pelaje de los osos perezosos en la selva de Panamá.
So there goes the cure for cancer, up a tree on the back of the slowest animal on earth.
La lucha contra la violencia de género en Pakistán ha enfrentado grandes retos, particularmente por las normas y tradiciones que se siguen practicando. En las remotas montañas de Pakistán, al norte del país, un video compartido en la red desata el supuesto asesinato de 8 personas por causas de honor. El video, grabado en un celular, muestra un grupo de mujeres cantando y aplaudiendo a 2 hombres mientras bailan. Este tipo de comportamiento es considerado vergonzoso y susceptible a ser castigado con la pena de muerte para quienes lo practican, e incluso sus familiares. Estas tradiciones chocan con la procuración de justicia y son una clara evidencia de la carencia de derechos humanos en Pakistán.
Pakistan, a land of 200 million, is a young state still racked by endemic lawlessness, corruption, and severe gender inequality. According to a Thomson Reuters Foundation poll, Pakistan is the 3rd most dangerous country in the world for women. Nearly 90% of women in tribal belts suffer domestic abuse and different forms of oppression on a regular basis. We traveled through the mountains of northern Pakistan, where brutal traditions and weak policing have contributed to an increasing incidence of violence against women.
Going into homes with cameras in this area is pretty unthinkable. But this gentleman has been kind enough to allow us into his home so I could speak to the women there. Assalamualaikum. कैसे हैं आप? एक बड़ा पेचीदा जो sort of मसला है पहाड़ी इलाकों का, बड़े सुनने में भी आता है. गैरत जो एक बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है.
यहाँ पे एक तो ये है कि अक्सर इस तरह होता है कि अपनी मर्ज़ी की जगह शादी करती हैं, मतलब चली जाती हैं. तो फिर ये है कि जो मर्द हैं वो गैरत सबको आती है कि हम उसको मार डालेंगे या इस तरह करेंगे. तो बस इसी वजह से कहते हैं कि ना लड़कियां जो है वो घर से बाहर जाए ही ना और ना कोई बात करे.
Most women are bound by a rigid set of rules and restrictions that place the responsibility of the family's honor solely upon them. Honor crimes usually take place when a male relative claims that a woman has brought dishonor or shame to the family. According to local research, nearly 1,000 women are killed in the name of honor each year in Pakistan. Of 2012, 5 women from a remote village in Pakistan were allegedly killed by their own family. Their crime? Appearing in a grainy cell phone video that showed them clapping and singing with 2 young brothers. The men went into hiding right away, but a few days later, 3 of their elder brothers were tracked down by the girl's family and shot dead in a revenge attack. We headed to meet Afzal Kohistani, another brother of the men in the video.
It's been a difficult few years for Afzal. He's constantly on the run, moving from one town to the next without any place to call home. He's moved his family into hiding though, so at least they can be out of harm's way. We've just arrived to meet Afzal. We should be arriving shortly. There are not many women on the street. It's a little odd. Everyone's kind of looking at me. Assalamualaikum Afzal. कैसे हैं आप? Thank you आप आए. कहीं चलते हैं जहाँ पे आराम से बैठ के बात हो सके?
हाँ चलते हैं, पीछे एक होटल है.
While most honor killings in these areas go largely unreported, Afzal's story made international headlines because he took it upon himself to seek justice.
लड़कियों के 4 गवाह रखे हैं, लोगों ने कत्ल कर. हमारे पूरे इलाके में ये बात अभी तक पता है और मुझे रिक्वेस्ट है कि मुझे चीफ साहब से यानी चीफ जस्टिस साहब से
हमें बयान दे दें. हम बिल्कुल बयान दे
सबके सामने मैं अपना बयान दे.
चलो बयान देना. आप पुलिस में बयान क्यों नहीं देते?
मुझे पुलिस वालों पे कोई इत्मीनान नहीं है. अभी तक पुलिस वालों ने जितना मेरे साथ जो रवैया किया है, ऐसे रवैया जानवरों के साथ नहीं किया जा रहा है. हमारे जानों की जान इतने खतरे में है, हालांकि हमारे इसके बावजूद पुलिस हमारी साथ देने को तैयार नहीं है.
गुस्सा किस बात का था कि ये एक साथ कमरे में बैठे थे?
लड़का डांस कर रहा है और लड़कियां तालियां बजा रही हैं. इस बात से उनको गुस्सा है कि ये वीडियो मंजराम पे आई और लोगों के सामने हमारी बेइज्जती हुई. इनका एक जरगा मुनक़िद हुआ डिस्ट्रिक्ट मानसरा में. उस जरगे में उस मौलवी ने फतवा दिया कि ये लड़कों की ख़ानदान और लड़कियां वाजिबुल क़त्ल है. 30 मई 2012 से एक माह पहले से इन्होंने वो लड़कियों को कमरे में बंद रखा कि बहुत ज़्यादा उनको परेशान करने के बाद में 30 मई 2012 की रात को 2 बजे का टाइम उनको ज़बह कर दिया.
उनके ख़ानदान वालों ने भी कोशिश नहीं की कि लड़कियों को बचा लें?
उनके ख़ानदान वाले तो कत्ल करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, बचाने की कोशिश ही नहीं कर रहे थे.
अच्छा, आपके जिन भाइयों को उन्होंने कत्ल करवाया वो उन्होंने कैसे किया? किसी को आवाज़ नहीं आई?
सब इतने मेरे ख्याल में हज़ारों फायर उन्होंने किया. बाद में इतने तो बुलेट हमारे सिर्फ घरों में पुलिस वालों ने जमा किया. जब कत्ल कर दिया तो वो मेरे भाइयों को जलाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे. उनकी लाश सामने नहीं रखते. तो फिर तकरीबन बहुत ज़्यादा इस तरह मैंने वो अपने भाइयों की इंतकाम लेने के लिए आज तक मैंने हर किस्म की कोशिश की, लेकिन मैं करने की पोजीशन में नहीं हूँ. लेकिन मैं कहता हूँ कि उन लोगों को कुछ ना कुछ सज़ा मिल जाए, आइंदा नस्लों को इस तरह की कोई तकलीफ़ न पहुँचे.
Not long after the video surfaced, a fact-finding mission was launched to find out whether the girls in the video were alive or dead. When the investigators reached Kohistan, they were presented with 2 girls, purportedly from the video. One of the team's members, Dr. Farzana Bari, is certain that these girls were imposters.
Basically I feel that this whole concept of have an ownership over women's bodies, women are seen as a property of men. If the women transcend those boundaries, the local tradition and culture want to punish them in a hardest possible manner in order to make sure that no other voices or resistance can take place,
Despite the outcome of the mission, Dr. Bari is convinced that the girls are in fact dead. She's not alone in her struggle to get the case reopened. One investigative reporter has vowed to expose all cover-ups.
मेरा मुद्दा ये या मेरी फाइट ये है कि उस वीडियो को देखे उसमें कुछ गलत नहीं है, और ना सिर्फ ये, और ये पहला केस नहीं है, ऐसे पहले भी होता है. ये है, ये 2 लड़कियां जिनसे ये मिल के आए हैं फैक्ट फाइंडिंग कमीशन मेंबर. उसके अलावा ओरिजिनल लड़कियों की भी तस्वीर मेरे पास है. ये बेगम जान है ओरिजिनल में. आप इसको कंपेयर करें इससे, आप एक आम आँख भी फ़र्क कर सकती है. माथे का बनावट, यहाँ पे होठ पे निशान है, ये लिप्स देखें, नोज़ देखें, कितना फ़र्क आता है.
So they sent this investigation to an international lab for facial recognition, and you can see they've given it like a 14.8. It's extremely low. The faces really don't match at all. आप जैसे लोगों को, जर्नलिस्ट को जो इस केस पे तहकीक कर रहे हैं, उनको भी डेथ थ्रेट्स हैं.
इसके बाद एक दफ़ा मैं जब रात को 12 के बाद घर आ रहा था, उसने अटैक किया मेरी रेजिडेंस भी. उसने पीछे से अटैक किया और पूरा उठा लिया था. वो हैवी किस्म का था, गला मेरा पूरा दब गया था. तो ज़ोर की टांगे मार के झटका दिया, वो हटा, थोड़ी सी स्पेस आई तो ज़ोर की शाउट किया, जिससे नेबर्स में जो लोग थे वो पहुँचे फ़ौरन.
Hasib says he was threatened directly over the phone by Maulana Javed, the man believed to be the leader of Kohistan's Grand Jirga. A Jirga is a tribal council that serves as a parallel justice system. Jirgas are particularly influential in rural areas like Kohistan, where literacy rates are amongst the lowest in Pakistan, and law enforcement is generally ineffectual.
We're on our way to meet the man who allegedly ordered the killings of the girls. He doesn't live in Kohistan, but our producer still managed to track him down. He doesn't know that a woman's going to be interviewing him, so my male producer is going to be sitting with me while I do this. I'm curious to see how influential he really was in getting the girls killed.
تو حقیقت میں یہ بات نہیں ہے. یہ جو میری طرف منسوب کرتے ہیں نا کہ یہ جرگے کا لیڈر ہے، یہ ہے، یہ بات بے بنیاد ہے. اس طرح کا فتویٰ یہ ہمارا مذہب نہیں بلکہ چاروں مذہب میں ناجائز ہے. اور دوسری بات ہے کہ فتویٰ چند لوگوں کے سامنے آدمی دیتا ہے یا کوئی تحریری شکل میں دیتا ہے. میں نے قدر دیا ہے تو مجھے پیش کر لے.
تو لڑکیاں زندہ ہیں؟
زندہ ہے. کمیشن نے جا کر دیکھا ہے
کہ خاندان والے آپ کے برادری والے ان کو پیش ہی کر دے، معاملے ختم.
خود پیش کیا ہے نا، سپریم کورٹ کا کمیشن ادھر گیا ہوا تھا.
اچھا نہیں تو وہ خود نہیں آئے کورٹ میں؟
خود نہیں آئی. یہ میں بھی آپ کو بتاؤں نا، یہ ہمارے کوہستان کی تاریخ میں یہ بات نہیں ہے. ہمارے لڑکیاں کورٹوں میں، کچہریوں میں، تھانوں میں نہیں جاتی ہے.
ویسے اس طرح کے کیس ہوتے ہیں کوہستان میں؟
اس طرح کا کیس نہیں ہوتے.
تو وہاں پہ جرگے اگر منعقد کیے جاتے ہیں تو کس لیے کیے؟
ایسے کاموں میں نہ جرگے ہوتے ہیں نہ ایسے کاموں میں فتوے ہوتے ہیں. اور یہ افضل لڑکا جو نام میں آپ کو بتاؤں، تاریخ اس کا دیکھیں، یہ جھوٹا ہے، انتہائی جھوٹا.
لیکن آپ کے خیال سے کیوں کرتے ہیں یہ؟ اگر یہ کر رہے ہیں تو یہ کیا کوئی وجہ ہے اس کی؟
واللہ عالم. مقصد اس کا کوئی نہیں ہے. اس میں یہ جو تحقیقاتی ادارے ہیں ان کا کہنا یہ ہے کہ میں نے اخباروں میں پڑھا ہے کہ یہ باہر جانے کے کوئی چکر میں ہے.
طور طریقوں کے حساب سے کیا لڑکے لڑکیاں ساتھ بیٹھ سکتے ہیں؟
نہیں بیٹھتے ہیں. غیر محرم نہیں بیٹھ سکتا ہے. یہ انتہائی ممنوع ہے. مطلب یہ ہے کہ ہمارے روایات میں تو مطلب غیر محرم مرد کے ساتھ اس طرح اگر دیکھ لیں تو اس آدمی کو ہمارے زبان میں کنڈر چور کہتے ہیں. اور کنڈر چور کی سزا کیا ہے؟ معمولی سا اس کو زخمی کرنا ہے.
اور لڑکیوں کا یا جو عورتیں ہوتی ہیں
اس کو کچھ نہیں کہتے ہیں. کچھ نہیں کہتے ہیں. صرف لڑکے کو اس طرح کی حالت میں اگر دیکھ لینا تو بس یہ سزا ہوتی ہے اس کے جسم کے کسی حصے سے تھوڑا بہت خون نکالنا.
By their very nature, honor crimes are particularly difficult to prove or prosecute. It's one man's word against the other, and there's hardly any conclusive investigation by law enforcement agencies. What is clear, however, is the devastating effect this case has had on Afzal and his family. He now lives on the run, with his family scattered across secret locations and struggling to survive.
It's pretty early in the morning and we're here to get Afzal, who's been kind enough to consent to take us to where his family's been hiding for the last couple of years.
اور میں اس وقت اتنا مایوس ہو چکا تھا کہ میں نے یہ سوچا کہ چلو میں جا کے ہتھیار اٹھاؤں. پوری فیملی کی ذمہ داری میرے اوپر آتی ہے، کوئی دوسرا کام وغیرہ کا بندہ نہیں ہے.
It took us more than half a day to reach Afzal's family's secret hideout. We changed cars, walked, and even climbed mountains on foot. The journey is quite an ordeal, but one that Afzal has to undertake every few days just to see his family and make sure that they're safe.
آپ کی بیٹی ہے؟ ہاں.
آجے آجے.
پہلے تو مطلب السلام علیکم، ہم آپ کے گھر آئے، شکریہ. بس آپ سے یہ پوچھنا چاہ رہی تھی، آپ لوگ اپنا سب گھر بار چھوڑ کر یہاں پر آئے، قیام ہوئے، کتنا مشکل تھا یہ سب کرنا؟
بہت زیادہ مشکل تھا. ہم لوگوں کے لیے بھی زیادہ سے زیادہ خطرہ ہے.
تو افضل کب سے اس کیس کے پیچھے لگے ہوئے ہیں؟ 3 سال ہو گئے نا اس کیس کے پیچھے. کبھی آپ کو ڈر لگتا ہے کہ کہیں افضل کو نہیں کھو بیٹھیں گے اس پورے چکر میں؟
ان کو جان کے لیے تو بہت زیادہ خطرہ ہے نا ان کے لیے بھی.
So we're just speaking to Afzal's elder brother who was saying how helpless they feel. They've had to leave their home in the middle of the night, run here, try to find escape. They're just living in this, as you can see, it's shambles.
یہ یہاں پہ تو زندہ رہنے سے بے شک اس سے تو موت بہتر ہے ان گھروں سے. اور یہ یہاں پہ جہاں پہ آپ اب ہماری رہائش ہے.
I'm going to go try to meet Afzal's wife.
The women of the house were too scared to let us film with them. They didn't want to show their faces on camera and risk offending the community again. But they told me how they struggle to survive and constantly fear for their lives in this precarious living arrangement. Despite the many hardships that he faces, Afzal is intent on continuing his fight against the culture of honor killings in this region. Although there have been a number of legislative measures undertaken to improve the condition of women in recent years, Pakistan remains a heavily patriarchal society.
The real issue with the law, though, is that the victims' families can be asked to forgive the killer. In cases of honor killings, it's usually the victim's family that is the killer. So even if Afzal manages to bring the perpetrators to court without the required amendments in the law, the family could decide amongst themselves to just forgive each other and walk away scot-free.
Gran parte de los fármacos que se introducen en el mercado proceden de plantas, hongos y bacterias descubiertas por científicos que buscan organismos vivos que puedan tener una utilidad médica. La gran diversidad biológica que existe en las selvas tropicales las convierte en el lugar ideal para la búsqueda de estos organismos. El corresponsal de Vice News, Thomas Morton, viajó a la selva tropical de Panamá con un equipo internacional de científicos que ha encontrado un tratamiento para la cura de la malaria, la enfermedad de Chagas y el cáncer de mama en uno de los lugares más inusuales, el pelaje de los osos perezosos.
Medicine's come a long way since we used to put leeches all over our faces. But as good as the drugs that we have are, diseases have a tendency to get used to them. That leads the medical establishment to searching new places for drugs that will fight these drug-resistant diseases. Places such as here, way the fuck up a tree in the Panama rainforest. I'm not having fun at all.
Right now, there's a $17 million prize being offered out of London for the scientific team that can solve the problem of antibiotic resistance. The prize was announced just as the World Health Organization released a report warning that drug-resistant diseases had put us on the cusp of a post-antibiotic age. So, like Sean Connery and Medicine Man, science has tied back its ponytail and wandered into the jungle to search for new drugs.
The jungle is still a frontier of sorts. There's a lot of creatures here that science knows very little about. And the medical industry is kind of banking on these creatures, holding the secrets to new drugs that will fight some of the diseases that have become super resistant to the medicines we currently have. It's like Chagas, Ebola, and basic stuff like cancer and AIDS. This rainforest is basically Big Pharma's last great hope.
Bryson Voren is an animal neuroscientist who works with the Smithsonian Institute in Panama and has been helping with the hunt for new jungle drugs.
There's so much biodiversity here. There's so much different types of life. If you look at a forest like a temperate forest, you'll have a couple different species in one area. Here, like if we took, 1 square kilometer, there's thousands of different species of plants and animals. Every one of these tree species is a different species.
I got nailed by a fig. Do you think that just fell or it was thrown?
They're probably falling from the tree right now. So the monkeys are going through and they're trying to pick the ones that are just starting to fruit and are really ripe. And so
they'll toss them.
They're the rejects, so they're maybe throwing them at you. Now they're throwing figs at you.
Nice.
Bryson's vast knowledge of jungle lore led his colleague, Irish microbiologist Sarah Higginbottom, to ask if he could think of anywhere she could find new sources of algae to study for potential medical applications. He pointed her to another tree dweller, one he just so happened to specialize in studying.
Oh, there it is. Okay, it's a big-ass male, actually.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Sloths. Bryson studies sloths.
So what are we gonna do? You said that one's uncatchable.
It's not uncatchable, but that's a cecropia tree, and it's the one that the ants live in that. So as soon as you touch it, it's gonna rain ants on us, and the ants sting you and bite you.
What a horrible environment.
We'll try to find another one that's easier to catch. Watch out. That was fire vine. It gives you a chemical burn on your skin when it touches you, and it leaves a scar.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Why do we have that?
It's got a natural defense, so things don't mess with it.
How do sloths survive?
Like the whole thing with a sloth is that they avoid detection through crypsis. They look like a nest. So if they're not seen, they're safe and they can't get eaten. They actually have evolved that over millions of years. They've evolved this like really lethargic lifestyle. I mean, their muscle fibers actually react slower than ours do. But it's all about energy conservation because they eat leaves and it's not a whole lot of nutrients, but they fill this ecological niche that's perfect for them.
After several more minutes of driving, we finally found our sloth.
See it right there?
Yeah. That
She's
big clump of movement.
Yeah, the one that's the ant nest that's running away.
Yeah. That be an easy one to catch?
No, she's maybe 60 feet in a tree, but the branch she's on is about that big.
Yeah.
We could maybe get her. Now she's scratching. They'll do that for like 10 minutes at a time.
They're like junkies.
Yeah.
Just like lay around and scratch. Okay, let's give it a shot. So any other animal, if you just shot a rope at and it missed it by inches, would not just sit there?
Most of them would not just sit there, no. They would take off very quickly. But what she's doing is she's thinking that whatever the heck we're up to, we don't see her, and that's her best defense.
Okay.
She thinks she's invisible.
Sloths. That's a good shot. All right. I pull too?
Yeah.
Oh, here it comes. Oh, watch your head right there. Whoa! Oh my God! Here's the sloth right there. Or no, is that a termite nest?
Termite nest?
Oh shit!
I'm gonna bring the rope out here, actually, real quick.
Oh, there it is. Down it goes.
Oh, see, she's perfect right there. That was excellent. That was perfect. Hey, look.
Where is she?
Right here.
Oh.
See? She took the parachute route down.
She looks like a retarded badger. Her eyes even look pinned out like a junkie's.
Do you have to hold her?
Yeah.
There's a
How do I do
particular
it?
way. Just as long as you hold all of her
claws together?
Yeah, then she's real calm.
Okay.
And you want to hold
She's
her like
making
kind
a
of firm.
sound. Is that the good one? Good kind of sound or a bad?
She's just showing you that she's here.
Oh, cool. Me too.
There you go.
Hey.
Hey.
I don't think I've ever held an animal that looks more like a mistake.
She's got a little Buddha belly.
Yeah.
She'll probably go to the bathroom in a day or two.
Is that how often they go?
They go like once a week. But you can usually tell if their belly's kind of swollen like this that she needs to go poop probably.
Really?
So we can take her back in the truck and take a hair sample from her.
All right, let's go. You wanna?
Sure.
Do the honors?
Here we go.
Ooh. So
She
slow.
wants to give you a hug. Hey. Come on, darling.
Sloths, named by every language they exist in for the very sin of being worthlessly lazy, may be so lazy they end up saving us. Because they don't have the energy to groom themselves, the average sloth's fur is matted together with all sorts of mold and algae and fungus and moth's nests, some of them unique to sloth dreads. They're like little, barely moving ecosystems.
You can see like right in her arm right here, she's got a bit of a green tint to her fur, and that's the algae. It's only found on sloths. We've looked otherwhere in the forest, we've never been able to find it anywhere else except for in the fur of the sloths here.
Sloths.
So we'll just take like a piece like, that looks fine right there. And that's all you need.
All right.
Just a little bit of hair, and in this hair, there's probably, I don't know, 50 different species of fungi living in this.
So that'll go back to who? To
This will go to my friends in Panama City, and they will do some analysis. They'll purify the fungi, they'll get extracts from it, and they'll test it against different strains of bacteria, and they can actually see if it, has the potential to be medically relevant. Okay.
That's it.
Grab the branch.
Process completed.
There she goes.
Thank you, sloth. So slow.
That's her speed. You can't rush her. She's happy.
Oh, so there goes the cure for cancer. Up a tree on the back of the slowest animal on Earth. So this is the lab where a lot of the analysis goes on. It's right outside Panama City, and we're going to meet with the microbiologist who oversees all the science going on in here.
Nature is giving us such an opportunity of diverse, molecules that we should really take advantage of it and protect these areas.
Carmenza Spadafora is the microbiologist I was just talking about. Her lab, IndicaSat, studies the parasitology of a wide range of tropical diseases, from malaria and dengue fever to Chagas and leishmaniasis.
The problem with them, they are neglected diseases, is that big pharmaceuticals do not want to spend money on them because the people that need these medicines are people with low resources. So are the countries where these people reside. Malaria has been developing resistance against the drugs used to combat them. Now it was every 20 years, and it was every 10, every 5, now it's every 2 years.
That's how quickly it adapts?
That's how quickly it has created resistance.
Looking in the rainforest for undiscovered compounds isn't just a shot in the dark. Because the rainforest is so densely packed with plants and animals, the competition for survival forces species to adapt or die off at a much quicker rate than anywhere else. The more adaptations, the more new species evolve, the more intense the competition becomes, which pushes the whole cycle faster and faster, like an evolutionary forge. So it's not so much that the rainforest contains new creatures and compounds, it's potentially generating them as we speak.
We just want nature to show us the molecule, and then humans will try to mimic it by synthesis, chemical synthesis.
In the sloth fur alone, Indicasat scientists have found 85 distinct types of fungus, some of which have compounds which have proven very promising in attacking Chagas, malaria, and breast cancer. But all these crazy new molecules don't just live on sloths' backs or orchids in the jungle's darkest depths. These researchers have found an extremely exciting antibacterial compound in this colony of ants that's about 5 steps into the woods from the highway.
I like scientists who don't use really delicate instruments.
For example, you want to see?
What is that?
This is the fungus symbiont.
Oh.
It is the food they're using for the larvae, for the brood, her brood.
So like these leaves and berries and everything, that's not ant food, that's food for the fungus.
They're for the fungus, they eat the fungus.
Okay, now I get it.
To protect their fungus crop from dangerous bacteria and other fungi, these ants secrete an antibiotic chemical they use like a farmer would a pesticide.
Oh, that thing's enormous. It's like a big clump of earwax.
So this species of ant has probably 10 to 12 million years using one single antibiotic. But the human, we can to maintain only 20, 10, 3 years to using one antibiotic until we develop resistance to this kind of antibiotic.
So that would be good for us, at least for the next 12 million years. While the antibacterial ants were easy enough to get to, only a slim minority of jungle life lives on the forest floor. Most of the rainforest's inhabitants are in the canopy, some 50 to 200 feet above the ground.
So, part of the reason not much is known about the plants and animals that live, hang out in the canopy, is because the canopy is a real bitch to get to. It's also very scary. Oh, God. Okay. I'm now stuck on a tree, 85 feet above the jungle floor. This is the worst feeling of my life. How underexplored is this part of the jungle?
The canopy is really mysterious. I mean, there's not a whole lot of exploration going on there. I mean, some people spend time there, but we spend more time at like the depths of the ocean or on the moon than we do in the rainforest canopy, just because it's so hard to access. But it was only until very recently, until the 70s, that people started going into the canopy with rock climbing gear. It's weird because most of the biodiversity on Earth is in the rainforest canopy.
In terms of like new discoveries and stuff, when we talk about like deforestation potentially destroying the cure for cancer every time, it's not just like if you destroy all the rainforest, sure, the cure for cancer could have been in there. Every little acre could have its own crazy medicine.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably microcosms all over here. This tree alone could have its own little microcosm in the canopy, but it's only found in this one tree. I mean, there's millions of species on Earth, and most of them haven't really been studied for their properties. So, but with new things adapting, new things evolving, that just makes a bigger pot of things to select from, and maybe a higher likelihood that something's going to be useful for us.
Well, that's part of climbing a tree is not being in the fucking tree anymore. Oh, God, my nutsache.
While the increasing accessibility of Panama's rainforest has made it easier for scientists like Bryson to look for the tree that cures cancer, it's also made it easier for developers who just as soon bulldoze the cancer tree to put in a Quiznos. Dr. Spadafora took us to a section of Camino de Cruces National Park near Panama City, what should be protected rainforest, but which is now about as unrainforesty as it gets.
Is this grass usually what grows when forest has been removed?
Exactly.
Unfortunately, Panama's business sector is less interested in things for scientists to look at than places for people to drive to.
They are not going to stop there. You see, all that forest over there will be probably destroyed. What are they doing? Are they crazy? It's biodiversity that we are losing. This is not only our heritage, Panamanian heritage, this is a world's heritage. As I told you, being one of the hot spots of biodiversity in the world, all the world should be concerned about what is happening in Panama.
The irony is this section of rainforest was carved out to help build that hospital. It's kind of a perfect illustration of the short-sightedness we have when it comes to the rainforest. That in addition to being a massive eyesore, God knows what kind of plants and animals were destroyed here, some of which we may not even have known about yet. New species that could have had the cure to cancer growing out of their eyeball, could There have been frogs that you lick them and it cures malaria, but none of us will ever know because it is now dirt and concrete.
La próxima semana, Vice News presenta Afganistán después de la guerra.
بادار ما باشه رقم خو مسلمان زندگی کردن نمیتونه وقت صلح میشه که ما بادار باشیم و کفر غلام ما باشه باقی صلح باشه دیگه صلح میشه.
Vemos el resurgimiento y fortalecimiento de grupos talibanes tras la partida de las Fuerzas Armadas Occidentales. Y después, los traductores que trabajaron junto con las fuerzas estadounidenses y de la OTAN en su lucha contra el Talibán fueron abandonados a enfrentar su propio destino en Afganistán.
Because of the interpreter job. If he find me, he will cut my head.
Busca más documentales y noticias de todo el mundo en vicenews.com, en el canal de YouTube o nuestra página de Facebook, Vice News en Español, o en este mismo espacio la próxima semana.